Thanks for watching Lessons in Minutes with Jaylee. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
Have you ever been going somewhere and you don't know exactly where you're going and you decided to use Google Maps and you were told to turn left and in 200 meters turn right and continue for 300 meters and then you're told to turn left again and all you're doing is going round and round and round the circle. All know you can't reach your destination. What does that do for you? Right? So you may be late for where you're going. You might just end up being lost completely, can't find back your way, etc. No, in the very same way, you may be doing your accounting records, or you may just be one of those users, whether internally or externally, and you're relying on the information. This information may be incorrect, right? And lead you into making wrong decisions. So, what we're going to look at today is the topic correction of errors, which is a part of the control system. The objective of the lesson is that at the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify 6 types of errors that are not revealed by a trial balance. The trial balance does not detect every error, unfortunately, right? So having prepared your trial balance and it is balanced, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually correct. There may be some errors that are presented in it, and if it is not accurate, then you know for sure that decision makers will be maybe be forced to make the wrong decision. So, it as said earlier, no matter if you're balanced, there may be errors. The fact is, as long as you have made a matching debit and credit entry in your trial balance, the totals would agree. What we're going to do now is to look at the types of errors that are not revealed by the trial balance. So these errors, no matter what your trial balance, will still be balanced. So the first thing that I'm going to display is an acronym that will be used in order to aid in recalling those errors. And it is COPCOR. Now, the first C stands for error of commission. Error of commission. What do we mean by error of commission? This type of error occurs where a debit or credit entry is made in the wrong account of the same class. So the wrong entry was placed in, for example, J. Lee when it should have been in S. Lee's account. The fact that they are both personal accounts, then that error is an error of commission. Another is error of omission. So that O stands for omission. Error of omission basically means that you have completely ignored, completely missed a particular transaction. So no entry was made in the accounting books. Error of principle is the other type of error. And with error of principle, this is where a debit or credit entry is made in the wrong account of different class. So for example, you might have paid for motor repairs. However, instead of making that entry in the motor repairs account, you recorded it in that fixed asset account, which is a motor vehicle account. Different class of account, wrong entry made, so therefore that is an error of principle. The other error which the C represents is compensatory error. What do we mean by compensatory error? This error occurred where 2 or more accounts are incorrect by the same amount. So for example, your discount allowed account was short by $100. Likewise, your discount receive account is short by $100. The fact is, discount allowed account carries a debit balance. A debit side is short of 100 and the discount receive account carries a credit balance. So that is short of 100. The 100 short on the debit compensate for that 100 that is short on the credit. Okay. Next error is error of original entry. And with error of original entry, something is wrong with the value that is recorded. So with this error, a mistake is made transferring an amount from a source document to a subsidiary book. So for example, you should have recorded $1,000. However, what was the entry that was made was $100. So you'd find that you have entered less than the amount, so the value was undercast. Okay, so that is error of original entry. So something is wrong with the value that you have recorded. It's either you have entered less than the amount or more than the amount. And the final one is reversal of entry. Reversal of entry error is one that is not so easily detected, right? And what do we mean by reversal of entry? As indicated earlier, this error is made by several individuals. And reversal of entry basically is where you have debited the account instead of crediting it, and vice versa. So the account to be debited was credited, and the account to be credited was debited in error. So you find that there was a reversal of entry. Oops, I have made an error. Don't worry. Let us look at how to make the wrong, which is the error, correct. So let us look at how to correct errors. There are 3 steps that we're going to look at in correcting errors. And basically the first one, to determine what was done in the ledger. So once there is an error, you need to determine what that error was. So determine what was done in the ledger. Did you place something on the wrong side? Did you put something in the wrong account? What was done? Did you omit something? Did you omit a transaction? So the first thing you need to do is to determine what was done in the ledger. Next, determine what should have been done. So what was the correct thing that should have been done? Should you have debited? Should you have credited? Should you have placed X amount of value in the account, or what? What should have been done? So what should have been the correct entry in the account? And the final step there, which is the third one, determine what must be done in the ledger to correct the error. And in correcting errors, you need to know your double entry. You need to know your double entry, because if it is that knowledge, that concept is not there, you're going to find that you will be making errors in correcting errors. So you're basically using errors to correct errors, which is a double effect there. In order to correct the error, you need to know what approach to take. So we're going to look at the approach to correct each type of error, meaning those 6 errors that we have looked at earlier. In correcting, the general journal is what is used to indicate that correction, and then you would make your posting to the various ledgers. So you're not going to draw a line through any mistake. You're not going to erase anything. You're not going to delete anything. You're not going to white out anything. In correcting errors, we do this by way of journal entries and then post to the ledgers based on the correction. So we're going to look at each type now, and we're going to begin with commission, error of commission. In correcting the error of commission, you'd have to debit or credit the wrong account. For example, if it is that the account was debited in error, it means that you're going to credit the account in order to cancel that incorrect debit entry, and then you're going to make the matching debit or credit entry in the right account. So for example, if J. Lee's account was debited instead of S. Lee, you'd have to credit J. Lee and then you debit S. Lee. Okay, so that is it for error of commission, the approach in correcting that. Error of omission, relatively simple, because all you're going to do is to apply the normal rules. So did you leave out a transaction that said bought van on credit? All you need to do is to just debit your van account and credit the creditor's account for that. Next, error of principle. Error of principle, remember, this is similar to your error of commission. Error of commission is where you use the wrong account, but same class. Error of principle, wrong account, just the same, but different class. So in correcting that is the very same approach that you would use with the error of commission. So you would debit or credit the wrong account and make the matching debit or credit entry in the right account. Let's look at the other three now. And we begin with compensatory error. How do we correct compensatory error? All you have to do is to debit or credit the account so that too much will be removed. If the extra was on the debit, which should not have been, you're going to credit the account to get rid of that extra. Or if it is too little and the entry was on the credit side, you're going to put that difference that it is short of on the credit side, and vice versa. That's all you need to do with compensatory error. Next, original entry, something is wrong with the figure, remember that. So all you would need to do is to find the difference between the two figures, because it's either it was overstated or understated. Overstated meaning that you have entered more than the amount. Understated means that you have entered less than the amount. Overstated can be referred to as overcast, and understated can also be referred to as undercast. Now, what do we do in correcting that error? Debit or credit the relevant accounts to increase or decrease the amount entered originally. If it is less than the amount, all you would need to do is to put the difference on the side where that entry was originally made. However, if it is more than the amount, the difference that you find, you're going to put it on the opposite side. So if the entry was on the credit with the extra amount, you're going to debit the account in order to cancel out that extra from the credit side, and vice versa. And our final error for the correction, there is reversal of entry. Reversal of entry, in correcting that, all you need to do is to reverse the incorrect entries and double the amount. Meaning if you are debited instead of crediting, go ahead and credit, but double the amount. What if the figure that you had entered was 100? In making that correction, you would put 200 as the value. So that is it for this lesson on identifying the 6 errors that don't affect the trial balance. They don't stop the trial balance from balancing. Okay? And those are represented using the acronym COPCOR. So we have error of commission, error of omission, error of principle, compensatory error, error of original entry, and reversal of entry. We have also looked at the approach to correct each error. And what you're going to do, remember, you need to ensure that you know your double entry rules. So revise the concept on double entry and prepare for the next lesson, where we will look at a worked example in correcting errors.
Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.